what maybe shifted for you?
So you can really see it in the Handem Mob somewhere. I mean, I can tell the story with that. So it's basically 2011, like, like playing super low stakes, like a couple $100 bankroll basically, or like 1K, 1.5K, and like, like up and down, not really winning player, and just like trying to get better. And then in like 212, I was playing a lot of online, like 180 man, like $3 and grinding them, and like tournaments, and then more and more moving up. And then I got staked and like really got coached as well, and really tried to improve. And that was in 212. And then end of 212, it started like, okay, if I want to make it professional, like I quit studies in that year, and I was like, okay, I have to switch. I have to change my environment to really support what I'm doing. And then you can see it in like 2013. I did a world trip the first 4 months. So I was in like, traveling through all these countries. And then I played 2 tournament series in Austria. And I fell in love with Vienna. So I was like, okay, I gotta move. Or like, I already knew I want to move. So I moved to Vienna in 2013. And I moved in with another poker player. And that was really the shift. Like that's when I started, really full mode just into poker. And you can see it in 2013. Like I start playing more live. I like start being successful online, and it switches basically where now I start getting some traction. And like I think end of 2013, I've had made my first million. So that was basically like this, like really fast acceleration. It was actually, yeah, it was somewhat a mutual idea where we came from a different standpoint. Where it was for me after I decided to play less poker, and was, hey, what are things that I really want to share with people? And one of the things that I really wanted to share that I thought was super valuable was Elliot's stuff, because his coaching is just like there's not been so my way about products is mostly I only want to work with things where I feel like, okay, I can 100%, not like 90, not 70, like 100% recommend this thing, this product, like this idea, this. So that was really, I've looked back, and there were only, in the course of the last couple of years, there were only like a handful of things where I was really like, man, you gotta read this book, or you gotta talk to this person, or you gotta test this. And so I felt like, okay, my recommendation bar was pretty high, and I've recommended Elliot to probably over 20 people. And I would do it again to anyone where I feel like it's a reasonable situation again, because it's just been so helpful for me, especially when you're in situations regularly where you have to perform on a high level. I just think these couple percent that he's improving your performance by, it's just value, pure value. Like I think over the course of whatever 10,000 tournaments that I played there, I've had over 100% ROI. Even if I take out like the big binks that I had, like even if I take out like the 5 biggest binks, I think I still had 80% ROI or something. So I was just grinding and crushing online so hard. And in tournaments, I don't think there were many better players at that time. And then that obviously showed in the W Coupe win, but that wasn't really the thing that I was really proud of. That was an awesome experience, but like the really proud thing was consistently being able to like beat these games, like whatever game it was, whatever stakes it was. And then really that transitioning into live in the beginning, that was very frustrating for me, because this feedback loop is so, as you can see, it's so much, takes so much longer, right? So in like 214, 215, it took me quite a long time to actually get used to live, like get used to playing live, to like having a routine, hiding tells, picking up tells, understanding the dynamics of the players, like being able to. So then I started watching all their videos. I started looking up all their hand histories online and like work through how they play, because I just wanted to beat these games, and I just want to crush these live high rollers. And so I think that's what it took, like this year 214, where I crushed the lower stakes, but then really as well, like 15, I think I was losing in 215 until like November or October. So like the scores look nice, but if there's a lot of, like, I was staking a lot of people, I was buying a lot of action, I was playing a shit ton of poker, and so when there's like a 25 buy-in cash, it's not like, wow, okay, I'm up 200K over the year. Like, there's also a lot of things where you lose money that are not on this Hendon list. It actually starts in November, so I mean, it was really crazy how, also from a mindset perspective, right? Like, if you look at 215, you can really see how a lot of, like, just from an emotional perspective of, like, I really, at that time I really want to win. Like, 215, I come ninth in the EPT main, like seventh and fourth in like high rollers, then like third in the 10K 6 max where I was chip leading, then like deep run in the main where I bust in like day 7 or day 8, then like 11th where I had huge chip lead in the 50K super high roller and bust that one, and then like 25K high roller where I had chip lead and bust 6th, and then like, it's this concept is like, oh, now finally I'm gonna win, one of these bigger tournaments. Oh, okay, and that's not happening. It's all this stretch over 11 months. Like, if you look at it now, it's like, oh, okay, ridiculous, like a lot of variance in poker. But when it's from the individual perspective at that time, that's really been tough. And so October, that's when I started working with Elliot, like October 2015. I remember sitting in the 25K high roller in Berlin, and I come into the day at 6 players left, and I bust 6 pretty quickly. And I primed, like, I was sitting there and I was priming with the tape that Elliot made for me right before the tournament. And I I bust in the first 45 minutes. And I walk out of the tournament and I had like a smile on my face. I was like, okay, I played great. I made good decisions. Like, let's continue playing. And that's really where there was a shift happening. That was really the moment when it was like, okay, now doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to play amazing poker and things are going to turn around at some point because I'm one of the best tournament players right now, and it will happen at some point. And then in November, in Macau, I had like a big piece of my friend Andy who won that tournament, so that really financially turned around the year. That was interesting because it was kind of surreal. At that time, it wasn't like, I mean, it was in Philippine currency. I don't remember what exactly. It was like, 160 million or something.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I didn't even realize exactly how much I cashed. Like, it took me like after the tournament that I realized, oh, that's actually $3 million. And so, yeah, that was pretty surreal. But like, really emotionally, the 100K Alpha 8 was something pretty special for some reason. Like, really this environment around all the people being there and like the trophy and the area, that was just really nice. The Triton I also really enjoyed.
It's also Vegas too, right? It's that time.
Vegas,
it's the 5 diamond. Everybody in your core and the group probably is there. Exactly. You get to Vegas. You're in Vegas.
I think I was somewhat involved with anything that has to do with poker. 2,500 to 3,000 hours a year, so like more than a full-time job.
Right.
And now, like, afterwards, you can really see that shift. Like, the moment that was August 2016, I think from that point on, I basically only played 50Ks plus with the occasional 10 or 25K. And I think I went down to playing like 20 days a year or something. So like 2017, as you can see, was a really sick year. Like, basically you can see my whole schedule the whole year because I cashed on every trip.
Right.
So I think these are basically half of the tournaments I played. And as you can see in 2018, I have not even three cashes.
What were you thinking? Did you go into the matrix and have to calculate that? Like, cause was there and are you happy with the decision you made? Would you have done anything differently looking back and maybe processing everything about that moment again? Is there anything you would have done differently, or did you get it exactly right based on what happened?
I mean, as you can see, I did it exactly right.
Yes, exactly. Well, it worked out well. It was very dramatic.
10 on the river. It was all part of the plan.
Yes.
No, actually, so how it worked, I mean, he showed the ace because he was basically, like, he kind of lifted his cards and basically thought that he was going to fold anyway. Then he looked at his hand, was like, oh, okay, then he goes all in.
Right.
So while he did that, he exposed the ace. I wasn't entirely sure. I saw a red ace. I wasn't sure if it's diamonds or hearts. And then obviously, and then I just had to calculate. There was a main pot, a side pot. I took a couple of time banks because there were two things that I look for. So on the first thing, I obviously want to calculate the odds correctly, given the hand range that I think Byron has. That I mean, my hand I know, and range of Solomon. And then the second thing was looking for him, like if he, if it's more like if he feels extremely comfortable and if he wants a call, or if he feels like ace king type of okay, not so comfortable. I mean, I think the odds are pretty clear. If the ace is exposed, it's like a clear call. And then I took like another 45 to 60 seconds in between to like always look for his development of behavior. I felt he was more like, okay, I gotta do this, rather than like, oh, awesome, I'm in here. So that added on to it, and so I called and won the hand, luckily.